We're gonna keep on keeping on here, man. Let's see. We good? All right, cool. All right, now look, man. When it comes to the situation with Charlie Rock and the Carolina Panthers PR team here, unfortunately, instead of taking the moment to kind of heal and bring people together, he kind of chose to uh, make mockery of the situation. Now, to my belief, and maybe to a lot of other people believe, Charlie Kirk was an individual who spoke with strong and sharp takes on political views, right? Uh, I don't think anybody under any belief deserved what he had happened to him. Okay, anything that happened to him, that I don't think he deserves that. You know what I mean? And it's a very unfortunate. And my condolences to his family, to his kids, to everybody. You know what I mean? That loved him, and I just violence is never the answer. You know what I mean? Under any circumstance here. But unfortunately, I think in the world that we live in, a lot of people are desensitized, and a lot of people are filled with anger. Feel like a lot of people are filled with hatred towards people who go against their core beliefs or core values, right? And unfortunately, Carolina Panthers PR staffer Charlie Rock fell into that kind of a category here. In lieu of Charlie Kirk's demise here, the Carolina Panthers staffer went online into his personal account and he went on his personal account and mocked it. He mocked the activist's death. He what he did was he played a clip from Charlie Kirk's one of his debates in which it was about gun reform, right? And when it comes to gun reform, what he did was he was talking about how unfortunately, I don't think taking away people's gun is the right answer, but in order for us to have our rights for guns, some people are gonna have to pass away. You know what I mean? Yeah, some people are gonna have to pass away in order for us to have our rights as gun owners. Those words are haunting, chilling, or even prophetic, depending on how you look at the table. And unfortunately, it's almost like he prophesies his own demise. But instead of people, kind of just looking at that and just saying, well, that's his belief, his belief. This gentleman chose to uh, take that quote or excerpt from his one of his debates, and he paired that with a video or a song from Wu Tang crew, right? The Wu Tang Clan. Excuse me, I'm a little flustered this morning. They decided to take that quote from the excerpt on one of his debates and pair that with the Wu Tang song called "Protect Your Neck." If you guys don't know, he was shot in the neck. So unfortunately, instead of him sitting here, being like a mature adult and just offering my condolences, I, he chose to take that and make a satire out of it. And shout out to the Carolina Panthers because they acted swiftly in releasing him. In an official statement, the Carolina Panthers said that the views expressed by our employees are theirs of their own, and we do not represent. They do not represent the Carolina Panthers. We do not condone violence of any kind. We are taking this matter very seriously and have accordingly addressed it with that individual. Let us reiterate, we do not condone any violence. That should be a universal, undisputed view in a civil society with disagreement. Those disagreements, however sharp and strong they might be, just never to resolve into violence. Okay. So, again, the Carolina Panthers can't win on the field or off the field. Um, I looked into Charlie Rock's background here. It looks like he was an intern last summer, and he was just promoted this year to the position that he's in now. So, my only question for the Carolina Panthers is I don't know what their vetting process is when it comes to the media and bringing people into the organization, but maybe they might want to do, better job of that. Maybe they want to have a auditor to audit the people that they hire, right? So they have somebody in charge of hiring people and personnel for the staff. Now have somebody else audit them, look into their backgrounds, right? I think, just saying that, I don't know if it is strictly based off of credentials where, okay, I went to school, I got this bachelor's degree, I got this and that. That doesn't necessarily qualify you. I mean, it qualifies you on paper, but when you look at it far as a person, when you're working on a job, there's a lot of different viewpoints. We go to work every day and we work with different people of different races and different views, right? But you're supposed to reserve those views for the home life. Even at home life, you got to be careful with that. Because even if you're off the clock, you still have a representation of that brand. You know what I mean? It's funny that a guy who worked in PR and communications is a guy who came out and made a boneheaded move in PR and communications, which is pretty much that's the way that they relate the brand and express and promote and advertise it to you, us, the viewers, right? Shout out to Chris for that super sticker there, man. So what I will say is this. The Carolina Panthers did a good job in nullifying the action, right? I don't think Charlie Rock is a bad person. I think he's a human being like you and I. I think he just made a boneheaded move. I strongly believe that they made the right move of firing him. Okay? They made the very, very right move of firing him. He deserved that, okay? So, unfortunately, when you work for somebody, unless you're an owner, you don't get to dictate the terms of your beliefs when it comes to on the job and on the clock. Okay? Carolina Panthers, man, I just got to say, I think they acted swiftly, and I respect that. I respect that so much. You know what I mean? They could have really messed this up by just saying freedom of speech. And I'm definitely pro freedom of speech. You know what I mean? But I honestly will say this, man. I think social media has gotten so bad to where people are desensitized to basic civil humanities and basic civil rights. You know what I mean? As a person. You know what I mean? I mean, when do we get off on making fun of somebody who died, not even in the ground? Not even in the ground. I mean, people are it's a very wicked belief and wicked behavior that you're willing to just say, I'm willing to just, be okay with making fun of somebody who just passed away, not knowing that, social media is so active and so swift and so fast that a post can go viral just like that. You know what I mean? No consideration for the kids, family members, loved ones, anything like that. You're infringing upon their grieving period. You know what I mean? And although there's a lot of critical things in his background, right? There's a lot of critical things in Charlie Kirk's background, or things that you could pick and choose. I mean, that's not the time. Everything has a time and place for that, right? But Charlie Rock, Charlie Rock, the guy who worked for the Carolina Panthers, gave no care about that. And to me, shame on him. And I hope he never gets another job in, communications on this level again. Because certain moves you just can't make. You know what I mean? You have to understand that. You definitely have to understand that. You know what I mean? Now, maybe, maybe the Panthers didn't do a good enough job digging into his background. Okay, because I know there's certain things that, no matter how good of a guy you are at your profession, if they dig in your background, they see things that are sketchy, more than likely you're not going to get that job. And I'm not saying that he got the job because of nepotism or anything like that, but, I'm pretty sure the way he felt, when he made that statement is the way he has been feeling a long time. You know what I mean? But if the Panthers did a better enough job of vetting their employees, you probably would have caught that. The same way when you hire, teachers and you hire doctors and stuff, right? You want to go into their background. You want to go into their socials and look and say, okay, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure the arrows with signs were there, right? Go in there and see if this guy has a, political standpoint or a harsh political view. There's little inklings like that, right? And then you're like, yeah, I think you're a good PR guy, but I've got to pass you. You got to, flying colors. Imagine having somebody that's a doctor. Imagine somebody with a doctor who's in charge and has a Hippocratic oath to save people's lives, coming out and just spewing their view on this. And now, mind you, if that person who's been wounded or in the hospital, if they have opposite views of the doctor, imagine how that doctor would treat that person. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is the lesser form of what I'm talking about, but people got to be mindful of that. You know what I mean? Got to be mindful of that. And I'm saddened because the Carolina Panthers organization, you know what I mean? You would think if out of all the NFL teams in the world, or all the NFL teams in the league, why do we got to be the prime example for a mistake no one should make? We're not winning on the field. we're not winning off the field. You would think, you know, the Carolina Panthers would have enough common sense to please. When I heard this news about an employee making these mistakes or whatever, I just said, I know this can't be our team. I know it can't be our team. Well, sure enough, it was. So, you know what I mean? But, you know, to me, I don't want to say it's on temper, man, but, you know, if you look at how the organization been ran, it's a lot of questionable moves and a lot of, you know, even with the whole Rock Hill situation and, you know what I mean, back and forth with the stadium. And, I mean, it's no surprise. If you ask me, I'm not surprised that the Carolina Panthers have somebody in the organization making statements and doing this, because I don't think it's as airtight as you guys think, right? You know, I think our owner, who's a, you know, he's a solid guy, and I guess, in, you know, in a certain point, in a certain aspects, but I don't think he's as airtight as he, you know, he should be as an owner. So you get little boo-boos like this. You know what I mean? Start doing background checks on people, and I mean thorough background checks. You're a billionaire. You know, if I bring you into my organization, I'm definitely going deep into you and look into all your background, socials and everything, okay? We go to the comment section here. Shout out to Big Iron. What's up, man? He said, freedom to say it, but you can be held accountable for your words. Absolutely. Shout out to Joshua. He said, post it, protect your neck by the Wu-Tang. He definitely deserved to be fired. Absolutely. Shout out to Big Iron again. He said, Panther showed good judgment and fire him. I agree. Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Shout out to Chris again. Elaine as well. Yeah, man. I'm certain things you just can't do, man. Just, you know, there's a hard line in the sand. I mean, you know, a lot of people believe he probably should have been reprimanded. I mean, I can see the progression or the escalation of this offense, right? So, you know, this is not something you just get reprimanded for, you know, set down for, you know what I mean? I think the timing of it is what led to a direct escalation of firing. Okay, so if this was maybe a couple months later, maybe you reprimand, even then you still might fire him, but the timing of it, I think people have become so desensitized to just life in general, man. I was speaking about it on my other channel the other day, and I was talking about how life is just so precious and how people just, they take it for granted. You know what I mean? As if that very same thing can happen to you or your loved ones or something like that. And how would you want to be treated, right? You know, we all got to be judged, you know what I mean? So, you know, judge less unless you know you perfect, you know what I mean? So this is a mistake, and hopefully he'll learn from it, man. But you know, the Panthers did a good job here, and hopefully we can bounce back and get some quality people in here who can cover the Panthers without adding their personal biases to it, man. Unfortunately, man. So get in the comment section. Let me know how you guys feel, man. I'm saddened by the news of Charlie Kirk. I will say that there, man. No matter what side of the fence you're on, right? Show respect, show dignity, show decorum in certain situations. You know what I mean? You know, and have mercy on people, as if you want people to have mercy on you. You know what I mean? Some people don't care. Well, fine. If you don't care, that's on you. But for those who do care, you know what I mean? Show respect, show decorum. You know what I mean? Show dignity, man. You know what I mean? I can't say I necessarily agree with everything, but I darn sure would say that it's not right to do what have happened that they did to him, man. Last update here, I believe they say they have a suspect in custody. A young man by the name of Tyler Robinson. I believe he's 22 years young. According to AP sources here, it looks like that after speaking with his father and a minister, he was able to turn himself in safely. So the intricacies of why and when and how he did it, I guess that'll be coming up here rather sooner than later. But nonetheless, man, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, and shout out to the Carolina Panthers for doing what they had to do, and doing it swiftly and making an example of that. I think under no circumstance hate speech or violence should be tolerated in this community or in the NFL. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you can't have your identity and what you believe and those harsh beliefs or strong beliefs or whatever, but you can't be representing somebody else's brand while doing that. It's one of the reasons why I believe I like to work alone. You know what I mean? Because at times I personally have strong beliefs, and I choose not to, have somebody intact with my beliefs, right? It's a very gray area, right? It's a very gray area. So yeah, it's one of those things. If you're gonna make statements like that, you better own your own company, right? You better own your own company and be able to do your own thing now, okay? But yeah, man, the Carolina Panthers did a great thing here. Now I guess we're on to Sunday here. I'm expecting for the Carolina Panthers to hopefully get their face back here against the Arizona Cardinals. But we'll talk about that here later on. I just want to give a few seconds of your time. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Make sure you hit the like, share button on your way out. Any questions or concerns in the comment before we bounce up out of here? Thank everyone for the donations. Thank everybody for the likes and their share. Tell a friend about us. Shout out to KJ. How you doing, brother? Shout out to each and every one of you guys, man. Y'all be good. Have a blessed day.